Yes, you guys, I'm back. And in today's News Daily video, I'm going to break down the 3 latest stories doing the rounds right now. Here are the latest stories surrounding a surprise move for Juventus' Paulo Dybala, followed by Rudiger, the club, and contract extension talks. So you guys have to leave your opinions below with that story. And for the final story here, the latest reports surrounding Emerson, and I'm hoping his eventual sale from the club, with both Inter Milan and Napoli showing interest again and potentially signing him in this next window. So I hope you guys do enjoy. Before I continue on though, I want to quickly say, thank you to everyone showing so much support and understanding and patience with me after recovering from my surgery. Now, these past few days, I've had to not make videos, been very frustrating because I love to make content for you guys, and certain days I feel okay, but then I learned very quickly the next day that maybe I'm overdoing things a bit too much. So doctors are saying I've got maybe 3 to 4 weeks left before I'm fully back. I cannot wait, you guys, because it gets a bit annoying, but without wasting any more time, let's start things with the first story today. And I want to discuss these reports surrounding Rudiger and contract extension talk. Now, this story was reported by the Daily Mail, and it states that the club are looking to hold contract extension talks with Rudiger. Now, of course, we want to get these talks done and finalized before this summer's Euros tournament, where, of course, we can't allow a German international player in Rudiger to possibly be leaving for a very reduced fee due to approaching the final years of his deal. We aren't Arsenal Football Club. We don't let this happen. And since Thomas Tuchel has become our new manager, it really has pushed Rudiger up to the highest ranks in our defence, and for very good reason. Now that Rudiger can play in his best position down the left-hand side, we are seeing more of what his game is about. Having that defensive support in front of him with the wing-back really helps, as well as his passing out from the back, where throughout this entire season, this guy's been playing Hollywood pass after Hollywood pass after Hollywood pass, and for me, I feel like this is the best form I've ever seen Rudiger play in. I think it's been better than what you showed under Conte. I think it's better than what you showed under Frank Lampard for sure. Where when you compare his season now to last season, you can't compare it. There's no comparison. Rudiger is on a completely different level for this season. Now, talks of discussions accelerating to get this contract finalized before the Euros is very telling about how the club see Rudiger as a long-term solution at centre-back. Of course, the reality is, we can't allow him to leave for a reduced fee. And the reality also is that this is kind of standard practice from the club to offer contract extensions to maintain the monetary value of their assets and their players. In football, sometimes you can never predict what the future is going to hold, but as long as you can maintain that value of one of your players. If Rudiger himself decided that he wants a new challenge, or the club decided that they want to sell him, or anything like that, we can get close to the value that we want for the player. So I guess this tells us one thing, that we should expect to see more Rudiger for next season. So you guys, in the comments below, leave your thoughts and opinions. Do you feel like this is the best move to make to maintain Rudiger's long-term future? Or do you feel like, regardless of his great form this season, he should be sold on and an alternative centre-back signed instead? State your reasons why. Now, we move on to the big surprising story for today, and that's in regards to another surprise move for Paulo Dybala. Now, these reports did come from France Football via Sport Witness, and it seems like Juventus have set Dybala's asking price at around 55 million euros, which is around 48 million pounds. Now, after Juventus lost to Porto in the Champions League, it does seem like they are looking to completely revamp their squads to build a new team for the future. When combining a few other reasons as well, such as the financial difficulties that many clubs have faced with during these COVID times, the lack of match revenue playing a massive part as well, and on top of the fact that Dybala and his recent injury history has been leaving Juventus quite concerned, with their sporting director Paratici actually admitting that with Dybala, he's kind of like a swing. Certain days he's okay, and other days he's not okay, and I think Juventus have been patient for a while, and considering that they are in a position where they need to revamp their squads, and to do that, the best thing to do is to look within what they have, to sell some of their assets. Dybala, who has one of the biggest, highest values at Juventus right now, could be that player to move on. Considering that his contract does expire in 2022, this is the prime time for Juventus to sell him immediately before his value drops even further. Now, France Football state that us and Spurs are showing interest, and now you guys, I'm now going to give my thoughts and opinions behind the story. And as you guys know, what I like to do with some of these really surprising, out there stories, I like to, pretend that they're serious, and I like to see it from a hypothetical point of view. Now, the reality is that with Dybala, injuries have been affecting him more and more. He hasn't played a game since January, and considering that Juventus have some other good attacking prospects in Chiesa, who's really stepped up more this season, and Kuleveski, I definitely not destroyed his name right there, you guys know me. And of course, Morata, Ronaldo, it does feel like Juventus are more prepared for life away from Dybala if they decide to sell him. Now, in regards to our interest in him, we've had long-term interest in Dybala for years and years. Before he left Palmeiras to sign for Juventus, we were one of the clubs running to try and sign him for us. And you know what? When I read these stories, my immediate thought and impression was that if this story is concrete and serious and the club are really looking towards him, I feel like this could spell the end for a certain Mr. Hakim Ziyech. Now, for me, I'm definitely going to speak about Ziyech in separate videos, but I think the reality is that he is not playing in his best position. I mean, this guy plays out wide. Yeah, that's how he plays his game. People that have seen him play for years know what he's fully about. And if Dybala was signed, this would tell me that maybe, number one, a back three system is going to be in our long-term future for seasons and seasons to come. And number two, Tuchel would prefer to have players more suited towards playing in that back three system compared to forcing in players that don't necessarily suit that style and suit that game. And with Dybala in his game, mainly he plays best as a support striker and playing as a cam as well in those central positions. Playing in Tuchel's current tactical setup would get the best out of him. Playing close and alongside a striker or false sign up front with another player alongside him to make that front three, with Dybala receiving balls between the lines and central areas. I feel like from that point of view, most definitely he could work. And even though I'd be disappointed to see Ziyech leave, the reality is sometimes, when new managers come with their new ideas, new tactics, new setups, this means that other players can miss out depending on how their game is. So, I don't know, I feel like I'll take this report more serious if it intensifies more and more. But I think the reality is that right now, it seems like Dybala is kind of destined to leave Juventus this season. And considering that we could do with more players suited towards playing in a front three and a back three system, I think Dybala could be a great option. I mean, number one, very clinical. Number two is long shots from outside the box. And this guy is a scorer of great goals. And, we getting opportunities and moments inside the box in this current team where we don't really have the players taking advantage of the space afforded to them from outside the box. On top of that, Dybala is great from set pieces. He has that creativity. He can hold the ball. He can play between the lines. He can play with his back to goal. And also, he can also play as a striker if needs be too. In this current system, I could definitely see Dybala playing down the right-hand side of a front three, or even at times playing up front if, maybe Kai or the rest want to interchange or aren't in the team. So, in the comments below, you guys, leave your thoughts and leave your opinions. Do you feel like this story is just so stupid and crazy that it's not worth it, that Dybala's injuries make him a player that you can't even look at? Or do you feel like there could be something here where we could potentially sign a player that has more to give in a new environment? State your reasons below. And now we end things with the final report, and that's in regards to Mr. Emerson Palmieri. Now, religiously, every single time a window does approach, you're going to get your Emerson out story. However, even though you feel like every year his exit is getting closer and closer and closer, the reality is he still remains eternal at this club. Now, reports say that both Inter and Napoli are still showing interest, which I'd imagine Italian clubs still are. But the news story is that the club are willing to drop their valuation of Emerson down to 70 million. Now, considering over the past few years, we've seen valuations set at 30 million, which then became 25 million, which now is set at 17 million. It feels like if we don't sell him now, his value is only going to drop and drop and drop. And considering that we signed him for 24 million and the wages we're paying him, to balance the books, we need to sell him for this value, I think, to, make this worthwhile. So, is Emerson finally going to leave? You'd imagine so, considering that he's now played under 4 different managers and all 4 of them have not used him as their set number one guy. Considering that when we use a wing-back system, Alonso is preferred, and considering that when we use a back 4 system, Ben Chilwell has been signed for that role, it feels like Emerson now really isn't needed in that sense. Now, do I feel like we're guaranteed to get 17 million up front? Most likely not, you guys, most definitely not. I feel like if he was sold for around that fee, expect there to be many clauses inserted in that deal. Expect the Italian clubs to be able to pay off this deal over multiple years. And for the final expectation, don't be surprised if, again, this is another loan move away, followed by an exit clause, which never, ever gets better finalized. And I'm looking at Bakayoko right now with reports even saying that Napoli, looking at Baka's current form, aren't willing to pay the reported 18 million euros to make his signing a permanent. You know, it does feel like whatever we can get for Emerson in this window, we should probably be grateful and accept it. So there you have it, you guys. They were the 3 stories for today. I hope you guys have enjoyed. Of course, remember there is going to be the massive match preview for our second leg game against Atleti coming out right after the press conference, so stay tuned for that. I'm Nini FC, this is Blue Lines TV. I'll catch you guys later with some more videos.